Pixar travels to the stars with Elio, about a kid who wants nothing more in this life than to be abducted by aliens.
It sounds pretty good these days, doesn't it?
I mean, I can't blame him.
Yeah, this is a very gentle movie for our stressful times. So if you are looking for something just sweet and lighthearted and colorful and very pretty and hopeful, maybe this is for you. Maybe you don't want to go see a really intense zombie movie this weekend.
Gordon?
Hi, Dad. I'm a bargaining chip.
No, say the other thing.
Oh, help me, Father. He overpowered me.
So this is directed by a few different people. So the credits are weird as far as how it's phrased.
A lot of directors involved, yeah.
Yeah, Madeline Sharafian, and then Domee, who did Bow and Turning Red, which we love. Also by Adrian Molina. So I think maybe it was Adrian Molina's original project. Anyway, who knows? Various people. This is how it works with animated films sometimes. But the story focuses on a kid named Elio. He is voiced by Yonas Kibreab. And because this is a Disney movie, he is an orphan. He is living with his aunt, Olga, voiced by Zoe Saldaña, who is, I mean, I think she's on the Space Force. As far as we can tell,
she's an Air Force major, I want to say.
Okay.
Like she's a pretty high-ranking officer on a base with that does a lot of satellite tracking.
Yeah, and she's on track to maybe go into the astronaut program. She's had her sights set on that. She's an up-and-comer, but then when Elio's parents die, she has to take care of him, and that kind of rearranges her priorities. And so he's a really sweet kid. He is kind of a boisterous misfit. He's kind of an oddball. He's obsessed with space. He's clearly very intelligent, does not have a whole lot of friends or like any to speak of. And he has these dreams of going into space. And he feels like that is where I'm going to find my people. And he's trying to tune in with his ham radio. And then magically one night, he gets his wish and he gets whisked up into the stars and is welcomed to a place that's kind of like the intergalactic United Nations and
the Communiverse.
The Communiverse. And it's incredibly beautiful. Like the colors, if that's really the best thing about this movie, I would say, is just like the look of it and the vibrancy and the detail. And there's a lot of humor and like clever stuff in who these different alien species are and how they interrelate to each other and how they can translate what they're saying to each other. So like,
it's what you wish the City of 1,000 Planets had been. Remember that movie?
No.
Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets? That Luc Besson movie with Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan, where just a bunch of planets stuck together. I like the Communiverse better.
I forgot about that. Anyway, but it's really, really fun. And like him getting sucked up into it and like the tour of this place and all the cool stuff that's available there, like completely validates his desire to be in space and not on Earth where he is considered a weirdo. He becomes friends with this very sweet kind of kindred spirit who is like kind of a giant chubby caterpillar without eyes. And he is named Glorden. He is voiced by Remy Edgerly. And this is like the yin to his yang, and they become like fast friends. And it's like he's a lonely kid and kind of a weird kid and kind of too inquisitive and too excited, and like they just hit it off. And this section here is really like the sweet spot for me with this film. I think a lot of the plotting is needlessly complicated, and there's some stuff here that is going to be really dark and really scary for very tiny kids. But when they are having their adventures, these two friends who've been so lonely, it's so cute and like so joyful and so hopeful. And so I really enjoyed that part of it. But, you know, eventually Elio's got to have some kind of conflict, and it comes in the form of this big bully in this giant armor voiced by Brad Garrett, and he wants to take over the hippie, crunchy granola love fest that is the Communiverse. And how's that going to turn out? I liked this. It's, you know, it's not groundbreaking Pixar, but it's really cute and it's really beautiful and it's diverting. And if you're looking for something that the whole family can go see in the summertime, this is it.
Yeah, and I mean, that does kind of sound like damning with faint praise, but I mean, I agree. Like, there's a lot that I like here. I love looking at it. I love the like you said, the colors and the textures. I like how the Communiverse is both sort of free of gravity, but also kind of beautifully geometric at the same time. I do like the montage of the two friends getting to hang out and just do goofy alien stuff. There's too much incident in this movie. There's so much plotting and getting people from place to place and confronting with this person and that person and having to accomplish this other goal to get to the next place to do the next task, that you don't get nearly as much quality time as you would want with Elio. Really, as a character, you wind up having characters tell him about himself, about his low self-esteem, or about his, trepidation, or, to face the world or whatever it is. Then you get to really experience with just seeing him do things, so that was frustrating. And there's a central metaphor here regarding the adorable blobby caterpillar aliens and the scary armor that's like, come on, Pixar, you're better than this. You gave us Bing Bong, like, you're better than this. And it was just too on the nose. So I don't love this movie. I don't think it ranks among like the great Pixar films, but as a summer entertainment for the family, I think kids will love it. There are a few scary moments, but I think kids should have them. It makes better adults, and I think parents will, if they don't get into the story part of it, again, will just enjoy the experience of looking at it.
Yeah, it moves pretty well, and there are lessons to be learned in the scary stuff.
Of course.
Here's a question for you. So I have seen some people writing about how this movie, in their theory, like tiptoes up to the edge of suggesting that Elio and the blobby friend are gay. And the movie won't say it. And they sort of code it by calling them like outsiders or loners, or they don't feel like they belong. Like, I didn't get that vibe, but what do you think?
This came up with Luca, if you recall. And I think that there's a lot of different ways that kids can be outsiders and weirdos and misunderstood and disliked by their peers. And gay is certainly one of them. And I think that given the age of the characters, like, they probably wouldn't even really be thinking about themselves in those terms necessarily anyway. What I do like about the fact is that this is such a championing of male intimacy. These are two, male members of their respective species and planetary whatever, who can be there for each other and tend to each other. Like, there's a whole thing about like the alien gets cold and Elio's trying to make sure that he doesn't freeze to death, and so, like, I think that on the level of presenting, telling kids that it's okay to hug your friend, that it's okay to take care of your friend, that's a good thing. And what they wind up, doing with their lives later is another story. And we can write that in our minds if we want. But I like the way that this friendship is presented.
Yeah, empathy. Like, there's a kind-heartedness and an open-heartedness and a vulnerability here that is really wonderful to see, and a good example for kids, for sure.
Absolutely. I think there should be more role modeling for young boys, that this is allowed and that it doesn't weaken them and it doesn't make them, I don't know, it doesn't make them not masculine.
Yeah. This is really sweet and really clever. There's a thing with one of the devices in the Communiverse is like the fountain of all knowledge. Like, it's a whole bunch of like books and note cards. I don't know what it is, but it's like a living, breathing thing with a bunch of information, and you can ask it any question you want, and it wants you to ask like very certain complicated questions. And when you ask it something really banal, it physically like goes, it like drops its shoulders and shrugs and sighs. Fine. I'll tell you the dumb thing you want to know.
I like Yonas Kibreab's performance a lot.
Me too.
I had previously heard his voice work in the animated Merry Little Batman cartoon that you can now watch on Prime. I think he's a really talented voice actor. I'll tell you, I did not know until the end of the movie that was Zoe Saldaña. I was sure that it was America Ferrera.
I thought it was America Ferrera too, yes. But it is Zoe Saldaña. So I'm gonna say for Elio, from 1 to 10, I'll say like a 6.8. Like, it's really beautiful, but it's kind of messy plot wise.
Yeah, I'm a 6.5. I like a lot of what's there, but I wish that the script had gotten a little more going over and have it live up to the kind of films about, awkward kids coming of age that Pixar does so well.
All right, Elio's in theaters. Go check it out.